Public Works Committee, Patrick McCoy, joined by councilpersons Bernie Flynn and Sheila Vaccaro. Welcome. So item 2 on the agenda, any comments, suggestions, petitions by residents in attendance for items not on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 3A. I'll go over the monthly reports. Start with Public Works.
I'd like to highlight the following work. Today, I submitted the bidding documents for our paving project to PennDOT. We should have their comments in a week or two. At that time, we'll advertise for bids. Secondly, we are prepared to close Gay Street for the downtown business district in May for the weekends, similar to last year. And thirdly, we also made preparations for spring tree planting. The contractor's current schedule is to begin during the last week of April and continue until finished. Approximately 100 trees will be planted. I would be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
Yes. It may go into a second page, but
Let's see the second page. Really funny. Respond to questions about ordering to
yes.
get more simple, very easy plan.
Okay.
When did the administration decide not to use existing vehicle purchasing approved by Borough Council?
Okay. I think I need to defer to Mr. Metric.
On or about, on or about August of 2022.
Second question. This council right here probably hasn't had the opportunity to review the enterprise program, and it's on our website. It features the cost, benefits, and savings of the program. Okay. By any chance, when you decided not to use, because he deferred to you, since when you decided not to use the enterprise program, did you notify council that you were not going to do that because it was an established purchasing program that the borough had initiated to save the taxpayers money?
There's a lot in that question.
Well, I have time.
Cool.
I've had dinner.
Can you repeat it again?
I'll make it real easy.
Yeah.
Why did you decide not to use enterprise when it was already an approved, fundamentally uniform purchasing for vehicles with very little or no hassle in a year and a half?
I think I agree with all those statements about the enterprise agreement except the cost. So we were looking at the cost of the life cycle cost of owning a patrol vehicle, and it looked like it was going to be cheaper to buy it. So that's why we made that call internally to purchase instead of lease.
Okay, now, the follow-up of that same thing, did you go back to enterprise and bring enterprise in because they were the established CoStar purchaser for us that was seamless? We never had to even think about it, go out for bid, anything else. And because the email I got from Mr. Edwards, and now you're explaining it, you decided to sidestep something that was working because you thought it was cheaper. And you should have, I'm not telling you what you should have done. I would have expected that you would come to council and say, look, we think we have something better for 2022 or 2023. I think we should go this way. But you guys unilaterally just decided we're going to sidestep and not tell council at all until I stumbled upon it.
We did make that decision. If I have one regret is that we didn't communicate more effectively about that decision. But sidestepping is hardly what happened. We talked about purchasing vehicles for the next 3 months in the budget process. So that's the only thing I don't agree with what you just said. But yes, it probably would have been a good, if I go back in time, I probably would have illustrated why that was a wise choice. And in fact, I didn't do that. So you're correct on that.
Okay, the follow-up, I'm very sorry because one thing leads to another, and I'm going to give you guys something that really will open your eyes. The, when you decided to do what you did, the follow-up of the question, what was in the question, did you bring enterprise in and say, how come the pricing is this way? And are we saving money for the equity on the vehicles moving forward? Did you notify Enterprise that at that particular time when you made that decision, that we were not going to entertain? We've already bought 6 police cars. And I think we've already, okay, 4 police cars. I think we bought over 30 vehicles. We're very close. We put an order in for 21 vehicles, the first order. Yeah, we did, because I got it right here. I got it right here. The order is 21 vehicles. Sean, I got documents and documents and documents, but I don't know what we received. So, because I never followed up with it, because I assumed it was in good hands with the Director of Public Works and the Fleet Manager.
I'd like to answer that question if I could. Because we did talk to Enterprise, and there's a string of emails I'll be happy to give to you. We did talk about how their cost would be greater if we went that route. That's not to say any decision was made at that time, but we did contact them. We've had meetings.
Mr. Edwards and Mr. Metric, are you aware of the fleet synopsis that's on our website? Have you read it and gone through it with Enterprise to see if they've actually indeed saved us $66,000 in 2022? And they promised to save the borough $690,000 if we stayed with them over a 5-year period. My question to you is, if you didn't read it, I have a copy for you.
Okay.
The second thing is, Enterprise should have been brought in and asked them, how are we doing with the program? Instead of somebody deciding that one police car is probably $5,000 more than the next one and ruining the $690,000 that's in the synopsis that's on our webpage that any resident could see.
Okay, our webpage or fleet?
It's on our
Enterprise.
Westchester webpage, and you can have a copy of it because I made copies for just about everybody.
Would you like the email string that I was talking about with them? With Enterprise?
I would, it would have been better
Mm-hmm.
because they're a valued vendor.
Right.
We're knee deep in that enterprise leasing. You
Mhm.
can't get any deeper than what we are. And the
Understand.
county uses them with no trouble at all.
Mhm.
Okay? So all of a sudden, we have a new director of public works that thinks he has a QAnon Ouija board of saying kickbacks and everything else, that you send emails out. And that's why Mr. Metric doesn't like emails, because you can trace them. So, be careful what you send in emails.
Mhm.
To say I'm unhappy about treating a valuable vendor the way we treated them. And we'll get into the meat of tomorrow night, because I'm looking forward to tomorrow night. It's going to be a joy. So thank you.
Okay. I did not make any decision to do that. I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Then you made it. So it sits on top
Jill, any comments?
Please don't ever mistake passion for rudeness, because I'm passionate about every dollar this borough has and needs to keep. And we work very hard to make sure it works. And if one person thinks something doesn't work right, you come to council and say, you know what, we found a flaw. Then we go to our solicitor, and the solicitor will fix the flaw. The solicitor approved the contract. 7 members of Borough Council approved it. They were smart people. I'm not. The other 6 sitting this way were smart. And just because someone thinks that they could purchase something slightly cheaper and kick $695,000 because they don't like the program, that's a disgrace to the borough, and I'm embarrassed about it. Thank you.
I have to say there sounds like there's more to this. You made a pretty serious allegation or implied kickback from Mr. Edwards.
Very good. Mr. Edwards, I have an email, about 3 or 4 of them. He pulled together a scenario that someone in the borough could possibly get a kickback of $2,500 when a car order is placed. Am I pretty close to your email, or do you want me to read it?
No, that's fine.
Okay. For 71 years old, I still got it here, and I'm not taking Prevagen. And I called him out on it. I said, it's a very serious accusation to say that somebody in the borough could possibly take that kind of a kickback. And then for 4 or 5 other emails, he's trying to backtrack it, saying that's not what I really meant. So
That's not what I said.
so it was a mental exercise on his part that didn't justify kicking Enterprise to the curb without bringing them in, sitting down, and putting them in the front row, because they sat here for a year and a half and explained to us the system and how it would work and how it would save people money. And about a year into the program, someone, either Mr. Edwards or Mr. Metric, had decided that they didn't like the calculation. Well, what should have happened is you bring the vendor in front of full council, put it on the board and hash through it. And if it doesn't jive up, we would thank them. We made that contract an open-ended contract that we could cancel it at any time, and they could cancel on us at any time.
So let me ask him, because I guess obviously it's prior to
Before
my
you,
time.
yeah.
So are we, 2 parts to this question. Are we not allowed by this contract to buy vehicles outside
No.
of this?
No, you're permitted, you're not mandated to buy it from them, but it eliminates all the nonsense that you have to go
Okay,
through
that
to
was
buy
my
something.
part of the question.
Yeah.
The second part is, at some point, it sounds like you're saying that Enterprise has said because of this one purchase or 2 purchases or whatever, we're done. They're
No,
not doing
that's
it?
not true. No.
So
No, I don't-
you
I
said
don't-
we're now kicking this down the line, that we're no longer going to be able to get
No,
this
if that's what
$690,000 saving.
if that's what you thought I said, what I meant to say was, what they did was they kicked this 2022 with 2 police cars. They kicked it down the curb, not using them, which could have jeopardized the impact of our $695,000 savings. If they keep doing it, the savings and the residual equity in each car as it swings over would be impacted drastically. So I'm going to ask that the Enterprise comes and sees us maybe next month and clear the air to make sure that, we're not in jeopardy of losing them. They're not in jeopardy of losing us. These are 2 police cars that someone went out on their own and decided in this room. Someone in this room did it and bought 2 police cars, and they didn't follow the purchasing policy either. So that'll be tomorrow night.
May I? Okay.
Go ahead. You
Go ahead. I'd like to clarify something. We're talking about the word kickback, which I did use in the email. And, but there was no allegation of anybody doing anything wrong. And I said that twice. That wasn't backtracking. I said it twice. I saw a flaw in the master lease agreement with Enterprise. Okay. And now I'd like to explain just a little bit about what I was talking about. The master lease agreement, the way it's written, it does not require, when it comes time to actually buying vehicles, it does not require a proposal for that. Okay, you would think that typically you got a master agreement, so logically the next thing would be when it's time to buy a car, please send me a proposal, and then we'll get it approved, and then we'll sign off on it. Okay, it doesn't have that. What it does is it only has one thing in writing, and that is at the end of the agreement, when the vehicles are dropped off, that's when they give you what they call a schedule. And that schedule has all the pertinent financial information: price, monthly payment, residual value at the end. And then at that time, the way the master agreement is written, we have 10 days to dispute that, or the financial, those numbers kick in. Okay. So there's nothing in the contract that says that we have to get a proposal. You could just call somebody up and say, hey, we want 2 police cars. Yeah, we'll take them, bring them over. And that will comply with this master agreement. That's a problem. Now, I will say, to the credit of the current and former manager, borough manager, and Enterprise, they provided those proposals anyway. Okay. And so we agreed, well, no, I'm not going to get into, there's some of this, it's, so that is true. But what my point was in the email is that if you get 2 bad actors, one in the borough, one in Enterprise, and they look at that master agreement and say, hey, we don't have to do a proposal here. And I confirmed this with Enterprise yesterday. We don't have to do a proposal. You bring those cars over here with a price that we're talking about. And then we have nothing in writing. And council hasn't seen it. And then all of a sudden we get the schedule. The bad actor on the borough side gets it. He says, okay, I'm just going to kind of put this to the side. And I'm going to wait 10 days. And that price is going to kick in because I don't have to do anything. It just automatically kicks in. Well, that's the scenario that I'm talking about. If you had, this borough has already had a couple serious issues involving money. And what I'm trying to do, and is not being characterized here, is to protect the borough. I'm going to tell you, I had about 25 years ago, I was in Phoenixville, and there was an attorney, there was a councilman, and he called me up one day and he said, you only got 1 bid for your telephone system. I said, that's right. He said, that's a problem. Got to have competition. And the conversation went talking about how to rig bids. And he didn't tell me that because he wanted me to become a professional criminal. He told me that so that I would be aware that if you do a bid wrong, you could be creating a problem, a legal problem. Overestimate quantities on one side, underestimate quantities on the other side. The real quantities are different. Next thing you know, it's a problem. And I really appreciate what he told me because it gave me a lesson. Well, this is kind of similar because I'm looking at this, and I'm not saying anybody's going to do anything wrong, but I am saying we need to protect ourselves. That's what my email was about.
A follow-up. Thank you very much for your explanation. If you mentioned borough employee gets a $2,500 kickback 4 times, if you thought that was an issue,
Yes.
if you really Remember, John 8:23,
Yeah, okay,
okay?
yeah. I don't know it by,
The truth will set you free.
yes, yes,
You with me?
yes,
I got gray hair.
Yeah.
Stay with me.
yes.
If you thought it was a problem, Mr. Metric thought it was a problem. Right?
Yeah,
Hello, Ms. Camp. I think we have a problem. I think we better bring in enterprise leasing and fix a loophole inside the contract. Simply fixed. The burden's off your shoulder, the dirt's off his shoes.
yes.
And we're still buying from enterprise leasing, and we're going to our $695,000 rebate moving forward. And we wouldn't even be here talking about this tonight, tomorrow night, and next week.
Right. Just, okay,
It's a lot easier to do the right thing
right.
than do things right. So I appreciate, I mean, I got your scenario.
Yeah.
Got the kickback. I just brought it up right now.
Yes,
And it was an unnecessary scenario, but if you thought it was important, I respect you enough as a strong member of our employment to be a whistleblower and step forward and tell the borough manager that I think we have a problem here.
Right.
And then you come to council and say, I think we have a problem, and you get a hold of the solicitor and we fix the problem.
Yeah.
You
I understand.
you don't do what we,
I understand.
it just caused too much trouble.
I understand. You don't like my delivery. I respect my delivery. I respect what you're saying. I
Okay.
accept what you're saying.
Thank you.
There is one other thing I would like to say though, because you're talking about this, it's cost savings. And I've asked twice, there's a string of emails between us and Enterprise that revolve around their price. And I would like to share that.
I would love to have Enterprise here.
Okay, you still don't want the string of emails though?
Well, what am I going to do with them? Because I'm going to print, you know what? Send them to me, because I'm going to print them out.
Yes,
And I'm going to have Enterprise and Mr. Metric and myself and you
Yes.
and the solicitor sit down and go over the scenarios and say, this is a problem. We're going to cancel your contract if you can't fix what my chief engineer says is a problem, then we don't need to do business with you. I'm backing you up. If you think that they're causing something, if something turns into a backdoor situation, I want to make sure that all the doors are locked.
I understand.
But the scenario that you floated was not a good scenario, but because you should have brought it to council, and we should have talked to Enterprise when the police department asked for the 2 police cars in May or April, whenever they asked for them, if we thought there was a problem.
Right, and just so you know, this scenario that I gave you and the decision to not use Enterprise, they're actually unrelated. They're separate, so.
I have to accept your word.
Yep.
John 8:23, thank you.
Thank you. Anything else?
I just want to say thank you to everyone who just spoke. I did not understand what any of that was about, and I greatly appreciate you both sort of standing your ground and speaking your truth and sharing your part of that story. And please get it fixed and cleared up. But it's important that we bring these things out, that we say these things out loud, and that we move things forward in a productive way. So thank you. Thank you.
And if I could, I'm sorry, maybe I'm talking too much, but one of the reasons why we're talking about this tomorrow night is because Mr. McGinnis wanted transparency. So, again, I accept that the way I presented that scenario, not the right way, in your eyes at least. I totally get that. But again, transparency is what I was going for by putting it out there. And what I saw was a flaw in agreement. Okay. I wasn't accusing anybody of something where we needed to meet in executive session. It's just something I saw in an agreement. So I didn't really, I thought it should be out there.
But I respect your opinion, but it caused a blip. Even at 70 years old, I still get pimples. I don't know why, but I do. But it was a blip on your radar, and it was important enough to you
Yes.
not to buy 2 police cars according to the ongoing contract that we have with Enterprise.
Yeah.
It-
Not me.
But you know what? There, I disagree with you. I respectfully disagree with you because
Why?
the system was, as Mr. Metric mentioned, We have no problems. But you found a flaw and we should fix the flaw.
Right,
Duct tape works great.
right.
We have to respectfully disagree, but we have to get together in front of people and make sure that we understand what's going on moving forward.
Buying the police cars the way they were. And this scenario that I found in the master lease agreement, they're different. Please take me for my word on that one.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Mr. McCoy.
Thank you.
All right.
Any other items?
Well, some other things, but I'll be ready for you.
Thank you. All right. Moving on to wastewater.
Good evening, Sean Mitchell, Superintendent at Goose Creek. This month, we do have a couple pictures, interesting pictures for you to look at. The Taylor Run employees began their annual task of taking down their RBCs. If Billy can throw the pictures up for us, that'll explain a little bit. There are 3 trains of 7. So there's 21 total. They dropped the first one. That's looking down in one. They'll hose everything down. It's basically all old snail shells and everything on the bottom. They'll hose it to one side. They'll get down. They'll hose the whole bottom out. They'll vacuum it out, send everything to the landfill. So the employees over there got a nice week to do it. It was cooler. It wasn't hot. They had fun. At Goose Creek, we always have fun. At Goose Creek, this month we tore down, inspected, rebuilt, painted, and reinstalled 2 drives and pumps for a secondary stage. We found during inspection at the New Street pump station, we thought we had a pump problem. Upon pulling the pump, it was actually a lip seal. We have one as a backup, so we took the one that was worn off, we rebuilt it, reconditioned it, put it in, and put the new one on. So it was a very minor cost to that. We're going through a phase with Aqua Water. They want to replace our water meter. We have a 4-inch valve that had to be replaced. We replaced it in-house. Didn't have to have them do it, but Timoff HVAC will be modifying our copper pipes and installing the new meter for Aqua. And last but not least, all of the lawn equipment was inspected, prepared, and have started cutting grass at both plants. Questions?
Thank you. Always impressive what your guys can do in-house.
Anytime you guys want to come have fun, let me know.
Mr. Mitchell, one question for you. Are
Yeah.
you aware that we have a full borough purchasing policy?
I'm sorry.
Purchasing policy for the borough?
Yep.
Are you aware that we have one of them?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Next report, Parks and Recreation.
Mr. Karowski's not here tonight, so can the written report stand as is?
Sure. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Moving on to the engineer's report then.
Sure, who put that chair there? Good evening. Summary attached, and Pannoni and Remington and Vernix reports are included. I'll hit on 3 things in the interest of time. The Borough Hall roof, we're all very excited for that project to proceed. As is required in the responsible contractor ordinance, we had to post all of the certifications and determination, basically the union qualifications of the contractors publicly for 10 days, which just concluded. So now we're just crossing the T's and dotting the I's on that contract, at which point the contractor will order materials and we'll get a firm schedule. But looks like they should wrap up in first half of May. So
The pre-con meeting was held on the
Yep.
31st.
yeah,
And when will actual construction start?
before the end of April. So it was good. We have 2 HVAC units that have to be disconnected, lifted up, so they can be flashed around, dropped down, and reconnected. But they're used to that kind of thing. So yeah, it was productive. I actually went all the way up there. It's very, very tall. I'm not even afraid of heights. So it's scary up on this side. It's grant season. We put out one last week for a project that's in Parks and Rec capital plan, which will be unaffected by their grand master plan. It's a maintenance project at the Hoops Park tennis facility. Next week, we're submitting a grant to the county for infrastructure to close down Gay Street more easily, basically execute the vision that TPD dreamed up for us with all the good public input last year. So very excited about that. And I think the county wants to fund it as well. So we're just making sure we put in a good application. And then lastly, Downingtown Pike, Arlie, I just wanted to mention the shopping center side is all complete. We're on hold right now pending Aqua's completion of work on 322. Once they have a lane closed right now. Once their work is completed, which should be any day, then our contractor will come back and knock out the north side of that intersection, which should just take a couple days, and we'll wrap that one up. Any questions?
One question, Mr. McCoy, if you grant me. The Downtown Pike project,
Mhm.
the giant side is complete. The ADA ramp going over there
Mhm.
appears to be, with my measuring tape, it appears to be too sharp of a turn for not a wheelchair, because the wheelchair will go up and down. The cart, the riding mobile cart,
Mhm.
scooter, yeah, because the scooter is much larger, and they put the ramp directly across the street from, the traffic light.
Mhm.
And in order to make that turn, it could be a little bit dangerous. The cart could possibly tip over.
Okay.
So, I'm sure they followed what we asked them to do
Yeah.
in the plans, but I think you should take a look at that. I'll buy you a cup of Starbucks.
Sure.
Very expensive when you're a fixed income.
Yeah.
I'll even buy you chai tea if you like chai tea.
Yeah.
And, but I think I think the curve is wrong. I mean, I could be wrong,
Okay.
but it just looks like it's not safe for a scooter.
I'll put it on the engineer's radar to look at.
Yeah.
I will say that everything that will be done will be inspected by PennDOT to make sure that it's
Yeah.
all in compliance with that. ADA considerations cost us a month getting them right according to the PennDOT HOP process. We had to do a revision just for ADA. That was the last monthly delay. So I'm confident that the plan is right. I have confidence that the contractor executed it, and I have the most confidence that if there's something wrong, that PennDOT will catch it, because this project and some of the Green Light Go work, I've had baptism by fire of working with PennDOT, and it's absolutely brutal. And like I said, I have the most confidence in them catching something that's wrong, but I'll make sure everyone's aware of your concern.
It's good to put your set of eyes on there just
Yep.
with a level and just make sure that we're safe.
Yeah.
That's all.
PennDOT doubled the time and the cost of this project.
Yeah. Thank you.
And if there's anything wrong, they'll let us know.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yes.
Do you know a measurement that it needs to be? Do you have?
Well, what I can tell you is that the normal scooter is probably maybe 3.5 foot, 4 foot long. And when I went over there, when I put the measuring tape, it goes right to the wall without any curvage. And it just appears to me that they got to shave the curb down.
Yeah.
So that it won't tip over.
Got it.
That's all.
Thank you.
Yeah, I measured, now I measured the scooter. I went inside Giant. Yeah, that's what I did. So, but I wasn't going to ride it, tip over. No, thank you.
Well, I had a few questions, please. I had a question about the High Street Improvement Project. So the cost estimate that ranged from 531 to 6.9
Yeah.
for the additional things that we talked about, I assume that's brick sidewalk, granite curbing, lighting.
Mhm.
What is the difference between the 531 to 6.9?
Yeah, it's the extent of where those improvements would be. The highest number is the whole corridor
Meaning from
from
Market to Rosedale?
from just south of Minor Street, which will be handled during our own borough-led project later this year, to Rosedale, including Rosedale. So that big number is granite curb, brick sidewalk, ornamental lighting throughout the whole corridor.
So the project area, remind me where that starts and ends.
Just south of Minor Street down to Rosedale. But PennDOT's limit of disturbance for most of that project corridor is just inside the curb line. So they're really only making modifications to the curb line on a subset of the intersections, not even all the intersections. They drew their project very carefully to avoid, I mean, not to explicitly avoid doing some of this stuff, but, you know, that is one consequence of,
Curbing or lighting is not, it would be on us for the whole.
yeah, except for those intersections where they are doing changes to the curb lines, in which case they're changing like for like. If it's concrete, we're getting concrete. If it's granite, we're getting granite. Or they'll probably reset the existing granite. That's probably more likely.
Okay. And then on the Price Street,
Mhm.
RV was reviewing crash data and conducting a count on the 5th. Are they going to submit a report next month?
Yeah, we'll
Preliminary?
probably get a 1 or 2 page memo just on that from them. I haven't checked in with them since the 5th. What was that, last Wednesday?
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, moving on to action items. 4A, authorize solicitor to prepare an amendment to Chapter 104 titled Vehicles and Traffic, Section 10432, to revise no parking at certain times on New Street between Minor and Market Streets, and schedule a public hearing date.
I think Mr. Flynn has the background. If you want to introduce this, or would you like for me to introduce it?
Very much. I'll give you a landmark so you understand where it is. From Nudi's Restaurant down to Minor Street, there are 4 residential homes, and on one side of the street, 1 residential home on the other side. And what was happening is this block was caught in the downtown district, and the residents had to keep moving their cars twice a week. So they could do street sweeping. And then the residents came to me and said, would you do us a favor? Could you just cut it down to 1 day a week? Because we don't know where to put our cars, twice a week, So I went to Public Works and Mr. Metric and Mr. Anderson, and we worked out a deal with the residents that they would only do 1 day a week on Thursdays instead of Mondays and Thursdays. In that short block, it's 5 houses. So that's what it is.
And the one thing I'll add is that Public Works agrees that 1 day per week sweeping is adequate. We don't need 2 days.
I have no questions. Okay. 4B, approve the sale of the following items on municipal bid: North Star air compressor, Subaru generator, drum containment dispensing system, and a 2015 Nissan Altima.
Good evening, Don Anderson, Public Works. We have a few items we'd like to put on the municipal bid. North Star air compressor, Subaru generator, drum containment system. I'll explain what that is a little bit. If you have a bunch of 55-gallon drums, they need to sit on something to keep them from spilling and stuff like that. It's more of a containment system to make sure that stuff doesn't, if it spills or leaks, gets on the floor. Okay, and then the last item is the 2015 Nissan Altima, which is a police vehicle. They're putting that up for sale as well. Any questions at all for these items?
No questions.
No
Thank you.
questions? Can I just say one thing? Is it okay? I understand everyone's passionate about the borough of Westchester. I just think that if we take the time to sit down and discuss things and in a manner where as though it's conducive for everyone, I think we can get things going in a great direction. I've worked with Mr. Flynn for years. I know how passionate he is. He just spoke about the measuring tape at the intersection. And we've talked numerous times. And I know how passionate Mr. Edwards is about making this borough a great place. I just want to add my 2 cents. I hope we all can work this thing out and get along. Borough's a great place. Thank you for hearing me.
Thank
Okay?
you, appreciate it.
Good one.
Item 4C, approve the Weaver Mulch Snyder Avenue lease agreement.
You should be in possession of a draft agreement. There it is. Along with, and attached to it should be an exhibit that shows the land where Weaver Mulch would operate if you choose to approve this. I would say that my recommendation is that you approve this if this is what you want to do. Okay, I mean, if you want, yeah, I'll leave it.
Yeah, what I did, I reached out to Mr. Edwards, and he reached out to the solicitor, because what Mr. Edwards wanted to do was, I think, if I believe correctly, barter mulch for rent. And I want to make sure that it was legal for us to do barter, being a government, for rent. And the solicitor did say that it was acceptable as long as it's, someone could justify one for the other. So whatever the rent is and whatever they charge for mulch, it would be acceptable.
I felt like we should get more than 30 yards, but just my
Yeah.
opinion. How many yards do we go through? Do you have any idea over the
I
season?
don't know what that number is. What I can tell you was the previous agreement, we got 0 and we were paying for it. And that itself is, so we negotiated for 30 cubic yards. We probably could, next time we do one of these, we can negotiate and do better.
Well, this hadn't been finalized though, correct?
It is not. Mm-mm. Oh, that's,
You
matter of
could still
fact,
Go back.
if you want me to go back and,
I mean, that's not in $100 roughly. 30 times 30
okay,
bucks a yard doesn't seem like a fair.
right. And one thing I can add is that when this was first approved, Weaver agreed to do improvements there. They created the storage bins and what have you. They don't have any capital costs this time. It's already set up. So that would, that,
I'm fine with it. I just, ask, get. So, more than 30 yards seems appropriate to me.
yeah.
I love this in concept. But yeah, I want more mulch.
You want more mulch?
More mulch, please. Yes.
Do you want me to do it as part of this agreement? I mean, if you want, I mean, we can go back and I don't know, maybe table this until next month and I can go back and say, look, we want 150. You see what they say?
I'm just curious how much mulch we actually go through.
I think it's a lot more than 30.
It's definitely more than 30. I need mulch like yesterday from some parks. Also, these flower beds that we have out here. And the other thing is we need multiple before we set the business district down. We need to fill all 3 ones. We need to get this like expedited. I'm not rushing anything. I'm telling you what to do. Suggest we need to get this.
Well, or we buy it.
Mr. McCoy, Ms. Sheila, why don't we leave it open end? Whenever we need mulch, we come get what we need, and at the end of the year, we'll settle up. Is that possible? Because we don't know how much we're going to use,
Mhm.
and we could use 200 yards, and Mr. McCoy could do it in his head how much 200 yards times whatever it is, so when we need mulch, we come get it.
I would say the only thing is they're going to want to know how much of that is going to be free and how much we're going to pay for.
I didn't intend on paying for anything. We're letting you use the space. That's what Ms. Vaccaro said and Mr. McCoy said.
I agree 100%. That's why, but I think the time is right that we got to put a number in there.
I mean, I think you could say
Not to exceed
not to exceed.
1,000 yards.
Okay,
Well, that's it, not to exceed.
absolutely.
Yeah. We won't exceed 1,000 cubic yards of mulch.
Yeah.
I know I'm being facetious. I have no idea.
Okay, I'm glad you said that because I was going to float the idea.
No, I have no idea, but it's a starting point. It's a 1-year contract.
It's 1 year. I think it's a total of 3 with the option years.
We can option up.
I think they have the option to option up.
We got the land. They need it. So
If I could just add one thing, the biggest primary benefit for us is that they shred and haul off our yard waste. If they don't do that, there would be a cost to us. So it's not just all about the, buying mulch.
It sounds like they've been a good partner in the past. I mean, I think just a phone call to say, hey, can we get more than 30 yards? And
Yeah.
maybe we could do
I'm thinking 150.
150.
Is
There you
150
go.
okay?
do I hear 200?
I can do 200.
I mean, voting session is until next week. So,
Only thing I can do is say no, right?
It's all I can say.
Will
Yeah,
do.
just ask, see what we can do.
Will do.
Thank you.
thank you. And then finally, approve the amendment to liquid fuels eligible roads in the borough.
Yes.
Fine news.
Yes. As I mentioned in a previous meeting, I seem to be standing up here a lot tonight. I don't know what's up. So, but anyway, yeah, we found alleys that are more than 16 feet wide, and that happens to be the magic number for getting liquid fuels money. So I've spoken to PennDOT. We've spoken to PennDOT, and they know this is coming. And I've given you a bunch of PennDOT resolutions. The borough solicitor has reviewed them, and she has no issues with them. And so I definitely recommend that we approve this.
And I think you told me in the past, it's what, a 4%?
3%,
3% increase?
which is about $12,000 to $15,000, I believe. So
Mr. Flynn should be happy about that then, as we all are.
Indeed, I am.
Hmm.
When we did I remember doing the alleys.
yes,
I don't know how long ago we didn't do it, but the contractor that did the alley, especially Potter Alley, all they did was come down and they didn't put any tack down
okay,
for the stuff to stick to. They barely fixed the potholes or crevices or edges. And if you go look at it today, you'll see it's delaminating. There's no potholes. It's just what they put down has delaminated from minor to market.
what street is that again? What alley is that again?
Potter Alley.
Potter Alley, okay.
It's the most important alley in the borough. Yeah, that's right. But you can actually see how it's delaminating.
Okay.
Yeah.
If we can't get it this year, we already set our schedule, but if we can't get it this year, we
No, it's fine.
get it next year.
I don't need any special treatment.
I didn't even know you lived there until.
Just ask the guy who does my trash.
Right.
He knows everything.
All right, thank you
Okay.
very much. Appreciate it. Is there any other business? All right, we will adjourn this meeting at 6:47.